Hi guys, and welcome to this simple CSS video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. In this video we're going to demonstrate some text shadow CSS. If you've been following along with this series, you'll know you can download the bare bones of this site if you want something to practice with from a link below. And also we'll be using a text editor called Brackets. This is a free text editor and it's available from a link down below also. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to be working on this section here, so I'm going to get rid of that background image just so this text stands out a little clearer here. So let's just get rid of that quickly. There's our first section, there's our background image which we covered in earlier videos. Just going to delete that. And save, Control S, and refresh our site, and that image should now be gone. It's gone, and we're left with the original background color, which was beige. So text shadow, it's very similar to the box shadow we were using to demonstrate here and here in the last video. So let's select our text. We'll use this H1 heading here. And here we are, H1. And as with the box shadow, as we said before, you can give it a couple of attributes and just have a shadow. So let's do that. Text shadow colon, and put in our little attributes here. So we'll say 2 pixels by 2 pixels. And that'll immediately give us a default shadow. It's kind of hard to see because it's dark there, but I'll show you how we can change that in a moment. So I don't know if you can see around that text there, it has got a little shadow. And now the first attribute here, this is the left and right. So if I make that a larger number, say 5 pixels, you'll see the shadow will move to the left or to the right. And it kind of looks like you've got double vision there because it's black on black. Let's just change that quickly. And I'm going to add a color to make it stand out a bit more. We'll use a hex color of a sort of medium dark gray. Say 999. There we are, you can see it a little better there without feeling like your visions are going blurry. So there we have the shadow. And as I say, 5 pixels, it's moved it 5 pixels over to the right. You can do a negative value, which is just a dash, and you can move it over to the left. And the second attribute here, you guessed it, that's top and bottom. So you can move it 5 pixels, will move it down 5 pixels, and minus 5 pixels we'll move it up 5 pixels. Let's just delete that, get it back. Okay, so that's a basic shadow there, and that makes that look like the simple CSS demo templates jumping out of the page a little bit. To make it even more so, we can add a blur to it, and that's just a third attribute. Say give it 8 pixels at a guess. And as you can see, that's kind of blurred that out and made it look more like a shadow there, which is what we want. And that really does look, you know, more like that is jumped out of the page and there's a shadow there. And you can make it as big or small as you want. If you go too big, then it's going to pretty much disappear. Let's make that 18. And it's still there, but it almost looks like that's just like a smudged dirty font there. So be careful when you're doing that. You can get some great effects with colors. I'll show you that in a minute. So let's bring that down to say 10. Reasonable amount there. That looks a bit more like it. It's not sharp, but it's definitely definable in the background there. Okay, let's change that text color to white and it'll stand out a little bit more. So let's go. And as you can see, that shadow makes that white text jump out a little bit. Now if we mess around and use some colors, let's make that grey a blue now. It'll kind of give it a bit of a neon glow. I'll just call it blue. And we can make that spread a little bit more with a color just to bring that effect out. Say 15 pixels. That kind of makes it glow out there a little bit. If we change that background color to say black, well, it's kind of hard to see there with the black. Let's give it a hex color. That's better. That makes it, that effect stand out. Not only can you do that, you can also give it a second set of attributes. Let's really make that glow a little bit. So let's go back to our text. Here's our H1. Now what we need to do is put a comma after our blue there. So comma. And let's just give it, say 2 pixels, 2 pixels, spread of 20 pixels. Let's give it red just to see what happens. And as you can see, it's got our blue shadow there, and we've got a red shadow around it there. Let's take that color down on the background, see if we can make it stand out a little bit more. Let's take it down to 444. It sort of gives it that, it's got a red and blue glow to it now. And these transitions, they're animatable. We'll cover animations in another video. Now, of course, we need to make this permanent. So let's take it back to something reasonable looking. We'll leave that as a default because it'll go back to beige. And go back to our text. Let's put it back to something that was quite reasonable, like a sort of grey color. So let's just select that. We really don't want all that stuff in there. So let's give it that say 777. And let's take that background back to the color it was. And the background, I believe it was beige. I'm using Chrome here, and the inspector, it's fantastic. Just hit F12, Control Shift I, or just right click and hit inspect on it, on the element you want to edit. And I think that was beige before, wasn't it? Want to spell things right or they don't work. That's what we had before. And our text was, well, we take the color away and it'll default to its regular black. So the color, I just need to take that one off. There you go. And to make that permanent, we need to add it to our CSS file, our Cascading Style Sheets. So I'll copy this, the bit that we want. Control C to copy. For those of you that have downloaded and are working on this particular site, let me just get the folder. Once you've downloaded the zip file, this is what you have. And in the CSS folder here, at the bottom, there is a simple CSS file. And you can just right click if you're using the brackets editor and open with brackets. Or if you have your own text editor, that's fine too. Just that's the file you want to open. So let's go to our first section here, we're actually going to have to copy the whole attribute because we've got no attribute for our h1 tag there. So we'll actually put this, start a new section and do a comment / *** between, and we'll just call it fonts. Drop down a couple, give it a bit of space there. Let's go back to our site and copy that whole thing. We'll just use what we want to use here. So here it is, from the beginning of the H1 all the way down to that closing curly bracket there, and we'll delete the bits we don't need. So Control C to copy back to our brackets and just paste that in there. And we don't need the font size because we haven't changed that. And we don't need the color because it's commented out, as you can see, so it's not affecting anything. Now if we save that, see, before we save, I'll just demonstrate. This is non-destructive. Everything we've done here is non-destructive. So as soon as we hit refresh on the browser, our shadow or whatever code we've put in will disappear. So it just returns to the normal. Now if I save this, Control S, and back to the site, this is now permanent. The browser is reading this every time the site loads. So now when I refresh, we should have our text shadow back. There you have it. Simple CSS text shadow. I hope you found that useful. If you have, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're interested in web development, we have some great courses below. We have some premium courses that we've got some huge discounts on for our YouTube subscribers, and there's also some great free courses down there. So once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.